It's the Final Word Daily coming to you live from Trent Bridge on day one. It's very exciting because me and Daniel, for the first time, are together side by side in person. Normally, we're down the lens of a Zoom camera or Riverside recording.
No, we did this next to a pool in Florida during the T20 World Cup.
Very exciting. It's the second time me and Daniel have ever been together. It's the first time we've ever stood next to each other because I'm noticing in the camera that he's quite a lot taller than me. Anyway, day one and the whole series, as ever, is brought to you by Westfield London, Westfield Stratford City, and Daniel is going to sum up the first day's play in 30 seconds.
Both sides would be thoroughly disappointed by what happened. West Indies, having won the toss and elected to bowl, shelled a whole bunch of chances. I think there were 18 missed fields, 4 drop catches. They should have bowled England out for about 250.
Yep.
England, on the other hand, should have ended the day on about 450 for 4, having been given so many chances. They threw them all away. Ollie Pope got 100. A couple of other people got half centuries. It was incredibly entertaining, but yet somehow felt oddly flat. 416 all out England, and we go again tomorrow.
I know England's number 3. We're getting heckled by TalkSport. I know an England number 3 has scored a century today, but I want to start with the dropped catches from the West Indies because drop catches make me feel physically ill. They make me wish ill. They make me wish harm on the families of those who commit such atrocities.
Can we dial down the political rhetoric? Have you not listened to Joe Biden?
That's a good point. Sorry. we are, it's a good vantage point from where we've got here. Don't know if that's allowed. Anyway, the West Indies, the whole point, if you're the worst team, which I know that's a bit blunt, but West Indies are the weaker of the two teams, you've got to hold on to your chances. The win at the Gabba, they caught fantastically well. Here, they were just insisting on throwing every opportunity on the floor. Ollie Pope dropped either side of 50. In total, it was 4 drops and 1 missed stumping. England have got to 420. As you said, they'll be disappointed for that. But the West Indies, man, come on. There was an opportunity for, as you said, to have been 250, 300.
Yeah, I mean, of those drops, they weren't all goobers, in fairness.
Okay, can I interrupt you immediately? They're only 50-50 opportunities if you catch 50% of them. If you drop 100% of them, they are 0%ers.
Yes, but what I mean is that a fair few of them went pretty sharply. They thrashed away off the back foot. There was one from Harry Brook. It would have been tough to take. I was actually a bit more irritated by the one near the back end when I think it was Wood sliced one through back to
Louis,
point. Louis, and you've got to be taking those because they look much harder than they actually are. Anyone who's played cricket knows that's a reasonable height. You're just going to come forward and take it. Though the catches annoyed me, but what I think I found more depressing and set rather the tone of the day was the wretched ground fielding for so much of it. I mean, we saw ball after ball being jumped over, parried off the hand, missed entirely. I think Andy Zaltzman did identify 18 when I was on air at about 10 to 6. There were a couple more after that. 18 misfields.
Wow, okay.
And in total, they actually did give away around about, because some of them went for 4.
That's loads.
It's absolutely loads. there was one point actually in the day when I think there'd been 10 misfields in the first 20-something overs. And I calculated that with the number of people on the actual outfield, it meant that each individual person had a 1 in 2 chance of having a misfield happen to them already by that stage, with the number of overs that had been bowled, the number of balls that had been bowled, the hover cover is making its way on down below us.
I think the microphones will be fine. We'll find out.
Well, yeah, we'll find out. Yeah.
I think the start of the day is a good start, a good place to start, not just for chronological reasons, and we'll build towards Pope's century, because it was the most remarkable opening, I'm going to say 5.5 overs of cricket. West Indies elect to bowl. I think that was basically them going their strongest suit first, as opposed to if they were a stronger batting side, they would have batted. Ben Stokes didn't reveal what he'd have done had he won the toss. And maybe you get the impression that was kind of like I'd have had a bat, mate. Like, that's okay. Cracking flags. Trent Bridge, runs can be scored.
But he likes to chase though, Cam, doesn't he? He likes to chase. And actually, if you go back 2 years to this self-same ground, on a very similar day, beautiful day, put New Zealand in. New Zealand scored 553. Said, yeah, we're fine with that. And then they got 539 in reply.
That was in that little weird... We've only just exited the weird period where England just said stuff. They just said things.
I suppose so, yes.
But Zach Crawley gets out 3rd ball of the day. It's like... It feels like this could be the day, this could be the match where the West Indies get on the roll that they will always threaten to do across this series. And then... Ben Duckett, his first 4 balls for 4. England reached 50 in the fastest time ever in the history of Test cricket. It was the most runs ever scored in the first 4 overs of a Test match. Ben Duckett was on 36 off 17 or something around those figures.
Yeah, we were looking at Gilbert Jessup again. We were actually looking at Ian Botham's fastest 50 of 28 balls.
28 balls. How was your blood pressure across that period of time?
It was absolutely fine, actually, because it was just sort of these weird things where you thought, I can't quite tell if the bowling's being really bad, because look, what was happening was a side that had won the toss and elected to bowl was seeking swing, the fabled swing that you get at Trent Bridge. Yep. And so they were pushing it up a long way forward. Jaden Seals, Azari Joseph, they were looking for that swing, and it was just swinging off the bat. It was, they were missing their lengths by a foot and a half. But the thing was that it's when they pulled their length back, and it was watching Duckett knock balls off fourth stump and chop them down through backward point.
So
Brian Lara was here, or sorry, as every commentator is contractually obliged to say, Brian Charles Lara was here today signing books. And I'm not for 1 minute going to compare
Ben
Duckett's career with Brian Charles Lara's, but he played shots that were very, very Lara-esque today, taking balls either off his stumps or just outside his stumps and finding these gaps. And to a degree, I think England got on a roll. I think the West Indies took way too long to do what we criticised Australia for doing last year, which is putting out a deep point and a deep square leg, because they were being defensive. Do you remember?
In the media, aren't we? We just why haven't you done the other thing that you're doing at the moment?
and the result of that was, as you say, the most number of runs ever scored in the first 4 overs of a test. I think in the first 5, the fastest 50 by an opening batter in England's history. I don't think everyone's, but in England's history,
England's fastest 50 by an England opener.
So 32 balls in the end.
Yes,
it's kind of preposterous. Everything on the ground again. Duckett's not a 6-hitter, so it was always finding gaps, chopping things away, driving things away. At the other end, Pope, who started quite quickly, then settled into a rhythm of scratchiness, which was. Well, it was kind of odd, because you sort of had the fluency of Duckett at one end, and yet the guy was going to go on and get 100 was still a bit skittish. And he was doing that thing with his shoulders. It's a bit like the chicken song, and you do that. But if you watch Ollie Pope, when he leaves the ball, his elbows go up, but his arm and his hands don't.
Okay.
And we saw that quite a bit.
Maybe that's a man in balance. I've got a confession.
Should be, yeah.
I've got a couple of things I want to say about Ben Duckett. One, I find him one of the most extraordinarily exciting players to watch because of that fourth stump cut he plays.
The Lara shot.
No one else. The thing that always makes you think this guy's the next Brian Lara is because it's basically just a line where any other player in history basically just drives it back down the ground and he wallops it through point. The second thing is I thought he had the opportunity to do one of the coolest things in the history of sport today. For those of you who don't know, his partner, they are expecting their first child.
Yes.
And so I thought he was batting in a hurry. B, I thought he was going to score 100 and then just walk straight to hospital from here. Even if she wasn't in labour, just leave. Score 100 and just leave the ground. But I've done my job. Fine.
Would that be cool?
And then I think that would be cool. I think it'd be quite
cool,
exciting. Yeah. And then my confession actually is of his 32 off 16 balls, I missed it. And the reason I missed it is it's because I made an error which I've never made before, getting the train up from King's Cross to St Pancras this morning. 2 stations. My train left at platform 4 from St Pancras, and I was very happily at platform 4 at King's Cross.
Oh, no, you need to be the East Midlands Railway bit upstairs.
Yeah, I don't know why. I was so relaxed. Yeah. I had my coffee, I had my breakfast muffin.
Well, there's a perfectly good prep just there.
I was looking at the train, I was like, it was completely empty, and I said to the lad, I was like, is this going to Nottingham? He was like, oh, mate. I know what you've done. And I was like, oh, no. So anyway, I'm sure it was lovely to watch. Didn't see it myself. Moving on to Ollie Pope. Yeah. I'm going to start you off with a statistic that's going to tickle you. It's going to warm you in your cockles. Ooh. So Ollie Pope scored his first run in front of square on the offside to go from run number 82 to 83. What does that mean? What does it mean? Does it mean that the West Indies were short of length and he was cutting the ball? I've found it.
Is that true?
Yes. Well, Stefan Schemmelt of the BBC, of the national broadcaster.
I thought he got off the mark with one, though. Anyway, all right. I'll take
Ollie Pope's second run.
You might be right. You might be right.
Basically, Ollie Pope is the discourse killer because he was the only person going to this summer of that top 6 where there was an element, where there was the potential for doubt. Because he had such a horror run after the innings of a lifetime in Hyderabad, when people get bored and don't have things to say, they were going to need to talk about something. And Ollie Pope's relative lack of form was going to be that. Here we've got a number 3 who, across a large sample size of 22 matches, averages 45 at number 3. He scored his 5th century in that position there today. But he was dropped twice. As you said, he started very skittishly. Has this killed the discourse? Has that ended it? And has he proved all the doubters wrong? Or is it much of a muchness, all in the same place before? Or, as all things in life, somewhere in between?
Well, it's definitely somewhere in between. And I think we've got to remember that there were many, many years where finding someone to bat at number 3 for England was impossible. The obvious person was Joe Root, their best batter.
Yeah.
And he really hated doing it. When he did do it, he didn't score very many runs. So then Ollie Pope was given the number 3 slot. As you said, he's averaged 45 since he's done it. He's had some terrific knocks, but it's kind of the evidence of your eyes is part of the issue. And I think because England have got in Root, Brook and Smith particularly, 3 very rather still batters who look in control and in command. They're very different types of batters. Brook's very much an in front of square, come at you guy. Root's very much a kind of like move the balance of his feet back slightly, access behind square. And Jamie Smith is sort of more in the kind of like a composite of the two, veering more towards Brook. But what they all do is they sort of give an impression of dominance and comfort. Whereas Pope, because he's forever moving, he's got trigger movements here and there. He's got the thing with the elbows that go up. Oh, now one. Yeah. Too soon, cut that. And, he does. He's got this thing.
Because I'm not editing that.
He's got this thing where up come the. Anyway, he does those things. And I think he's aesthetically gives the impression that he's in more trouble than perhaps he is.
Oh, I really agree with that.
That said, he was dropped 3 times?
Twice,
twice. It was just twice. So, look, he could have been sawn off before lunch. That was probably the most obvious of the chances. And had he gone then, we might have said, there's Pope throwing it away again. But we've got to remember, today he came out for the 4th ball. He was basically opening for England against decent fast bowlers who bowl at a decent lick with a very new ball. And he got 100. It's just, I think it's symptomatic of the way this whole day has felt. That, you think back to Edgbaston 2005, and it was like, oh my God, how has the side got 407 in 80 overs in a day? How is this possible? This is the most exciting Test series ever. England scored 416 in, albeit 87 and 88 overs, and we go, well, yeah, but they should have got more, and that sort of thing. And actually, the star bowlers today were spinners for a fair chunk of it. Well, spinner, Sinclair, Hodge did a decent job, picked up a couple of wickets, but Sinclair, actually held an end down. And given that he came into the side very late, because Gudakesh Bhoti turned up sick this morning. We don't know what kind of sickness it is.
Flu, I believe.
Flu?
Yep, that's what the Windies press release said.
No one wants flu this time of year, especially on a lovely warm day. And he was actually a bowler of really good balls, wasn't he, at Lord's? It felt like a big loss for the West Indies, and they lost Shamar Joseph to boot. So, what Sinclair did, I thought deserves a little bit of merit. And maybe we've just all got so used to demanding massive dominance. I think the first 50 runs coming so quickly, everyone's gone, can he get to 500? But cricket's a bit different from that, isn't it? It's sort of a bit more tricky, and at the end of it, they end up with 10 wickets, and I would argue the game's not in the balance.
It's not in the balance, no.
It's not in the balance, but the West Indies aren't out of it.
So just to pick up on your point quickly about the 2005 comparison, where it's a historic moment where someone scored 400 in a day, one of the things that really irritates me, one of the few things that really irritates me in kind of cricket conversations is when people would go, this England team, like people have played attacking cricket before, and you go like, they've scored the most runs in the first 4 overs of a game in history. And you refer back to other teams, like the kind of great Australian teams or the great X teams or the great Y teams, and people would always point to the exception that proved the rule. Adam Gilchrist they'd go, Adam Gilchrist did this. And it's like, yeah, but that was the thing. He did it. He was the exception. Now that is England's rule, where they go about, whether they succeed or whether they fail, whatever. But that is the way they go about the game. You're absolutely right to kind of single out Kevin Sinclair. He was left out in an attacking move, basically, by the West Indies, because Sinclair is the better batter of him and Moti, but they went, we are going to pick the better spinner in the attempt that we need to take 20 wickets if we want to win this match. You then have Moti put in the performance and probably be the standout player of the previous Test match from the West Indian perspective. Fall down, becomes ill on the first day, and Kevin Sinclair, who is a very pleasant off spinner. I don't think of the kind of Roston,
really turn it, did he?
The Roston Chase mould,
Yeah.
who, to be fair, against England would work. 8 for 60. Rory Burns weirdly got out to him all the time. It was a strange thing, and they dragged the game back. I think. Let me get the numbers.
Okay, you're getting the numbers.
England were 342 for 5.
Yes,
and they finished 416 all out.
Yeah,
so that is
so
74 for the last 5 wickets.
74, yeah.
It's 74.
Yeah.
So, and that was a resurrection. I don't think that's the right word, but from Hodge and Sinclair. Hodge probably wouldn't have bowled either. He only bowled because Shamar Joseph does seem to have gone down with a natural injury. He pulled up in Lords, but now it's seeming a bit worse. He got Ben Stokes. Hodge ended up getting Ben Stokes with a drag down caught on the wicket. It was celebrated accordingly. We're waffling a little bit here, so we're going to move on to the final word, Hall of Fame, and Daniel's favourite part of the show.
I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to this.
Is when we do the advertisement reads, and because he's filming on his phone, I'll get my phone out and hand it to you.
It's a very tiny script. This could go horribly wrong. Okay. No matter what you're doing in life, it's important to have the right support. If you're struggling to process the retirement of a beloved sports figure, there are lots of types of support you might need. Wouldn't you agree?
I always agree.
Emotional, from your friends and family. Intellectual, from people who share your who share your view that this person has more left to give. Physical, when you can't stand up because you're excessively drowned in your sorrows, and you'd be right to wish that maybe this person didn't have the right support when he needed it, which is why he now finds himself unemployed.
Goodness me.
I mean, that's punchy. It
What's
doesn't
going on?
stop there, though. But if it's a different kind of support you need, say in the underwear department, visit the next lingerie pop-up at Westfield, London between the 26th and 28th of July and find out just how good it can feel to be supported.
I love being supported.
Like England selectors, it's out with the old and in with the new, as their experts will help you find the right bra so that you can give yourself the best chance to win the Ashes in the Australia of life. Sorry, he actually said best bra attack. But I've only just realised what that means. Well, it's the best bra attack so that you can give yourself the best chance to win the Ashes in the Australia of life. Westfield, London. You buy your dad new jocks each year. Why not treat yourself to some too?
What a treat. Thank you so much for that, Daniel. Yeah. I'm going to start the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
to give you another little bit of chance to think and mull over if you're still deciding between a couple of shortlisted items. I'm actually going to go with quite a tame one in some respects. Athanase. He dropped 2 catches today. And I really enjoyed then. He was at fielding at just kind of a short mid-wicket to Kevin Sinclair, the off-spin. And so he's often in the game. You kind of get that little triangle, bowler, batter, clip to mid-wicket. And he was absolutely leathering the ball into Josh De Silva behind the stumps every time as a kind of like a one-man mission to re-inject the energy and the kind of fielding output of the day. And I appreciated him doing it. I knew why he was doing it. And I was very happy to not be in his shoes because I can't quite fathom how upset I'd be if I dropped a lad on 40 in front of 20,000 people and then he got 120 and did it twice. No, he didn't drop. He only dropped Pope once. He dropped it the other time. I can't get the drop catches out of my head, man.
There are so many. You're still really angry, aren't you?
I am angry because I want the West Indies to do well, man. I want this to be a good. I want the West Indies to win this match, so it goes to 1-1 for the last one.
Yeah.
And we go from there.
I know.
Do you have one?
I do. Well, I've got 2 really, but I'm going to do one very quickly. A serious one, which was Jaden Seals' setup. I think it was of Joe Root, wasn't it? Jaden Seals. He bowled 2 beautiful away swingers. He beat the bat a couple of times, and then he put one in short, wide outside the off stump. And I've never seen Joe Root so surprised by a ball that he would every other day of the week have just either cut hard in front of square, or early in his innings might have just like chopped down to deep backward point. And he got into about 7 different mines, ended up scooping it, a strapple in the air, up to Alzari Joseph, who nearly dropped the easiest catch ever.
Oh my goodness me, of
course.
Because
it was all part of an extraordinary sequence of events.
Of course.
But my actual real one has to be Sinclair's celebration when he took his first wicket. We've seen it before.
Thank you very much.
When he took his first wicket of his Test career. He did a double flip, he did a somersault. It turns out Guyana don't have anybody at the Olympics coming up in Paris, but the Edgbaston Test will end possibly as early as like a week on Monday I think there's chance for him to be drafted
Get him on the
into the
Eurostar.
Guyanese gymnastics team. Get out there and get yourself, in the mix, because that was a gold medal performance from him today.
So I'm very pleased you picked up on that, because I saw your BBC colleague Ali Mitchell shared when they interviewed Kevin Sinclair on the BBC Stumped podcast about his celebration. He's from a place called Caldam, I believe, as it's known, in Guyana. And it was really sweet. It was a nod to the fact that whenever they were searching for something to do of an evening, they would just go and practice their cartwheels and somersaults. And so he's like, it's a nod back to where he's come from. And also just the idea that he was like, the conversation he was having was that it kept you on the straight and narrow, that rather than kind of falling into a life of crime,
cartwheels. Cartwheels keep you on the straight and narrow. There's a certain irony to that.
Pretty simple stuff. Ben Stokes, the England captain, got 69. We haven't mentioned that at all, but that's the end of the show. Hey, not enough time. Thank you. I've been Cameron. Daniel's been Daniel. If you are watching this on YouTube and wondering why I've been off the screen half the time, it's because Daniel's a very proud man. Was dominating.
I'm so sorry.
The arena. I was enjoying it. The shoulders out the elbows. But yeah, I will not be back tomorrow, but Daniel will. I'll see you again at Birmingham. Daniel will see you tomorrow. Adam and Jeff will see you many times a week. As always, goodbye.
Au revoir.